green light on. I'm on now? Okay, don't make it too loud here. I don't want to be echoing around here too much. All right. And let's see where it was. Oh, yeah. Any other announcements we need to let be known to everybody right now? Okay, ice cream's about the only thing on my mind right now. Any prayer requests we can mention at this time? Things going on?
We need to give thanks because
Robin's here. She even walked in the door, which is a pretty good deal right now. Not the scooter with us. Glad to have you back, actually. All right. All right, let's begin our time together with a prayer. Oh, Lord, I need you. I need you in my life to make a difference, to do the things that are important, and just to be able to say the things, Father, that might help us all do those things. Father, just speak to us today. Let us look at your words and see what you have to say to us in our lives. Help us, Father, to be the kind of person that other people know something. Father, you are the difference in our life. Help us, Father, today as we share and challenge and as we think, just to let your Spirit move us in the direction that, Father, you're guiding us to. Thank you for all the things you have blessed us with, Father. We know those that are not with us right now, those that are struggling and hurting, and Father, just bless them and use us, Father, in that service to help and to bless when we can. Thank you so much for the joy of being together and the joy of your Son in our lives. And all these things are in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So we're looking at the book of Judges. I got 2 pieces left. Anybody not here last week that wants one of the last 2? All right, there they go, last 2. And I'll have to make some more copies. And it's not much, but it's something where you can write some things down, take some notes, put some thoughts down there, and kind of see which one of these Judges maybe has something to say for you in your life too. So, something from last week. Somebody that was here last week, give me something from last week. I got incentives again, so you got to give me something. Help me out.
How many judges there were?
How many judges are there?
12.
Well, kinda.
But then you got to go into Samuel to get the other 2.
Samuel, there's 2 more. There you go. So we've got 14 judges here. 2 of them aren't in this book, and some of them we couldn't even name. Anything else you remember from last week? Yeah.
2 of the judges had 30 sons, and 1 of the judges had 40 sons.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of sons and grandsons and camels, by the way, in these lists of judges there. You know, okay. All right, man. Y'all are easy. All right. Anything else from Judges last week? Yep. Yep. People of Israel were on the wrong side of the doing good charts. Maybe he'll take one. He will. Thank you. Just for taking one. Anything else? Yes? Oh, there was a lady in this party here too. We like ladies in the party. As a matter of fact, if I'm counting right, I think we're kind of outnumbered here, guys. There's a bunch of ladies around here, so that's a good thing. All right, there's a lot of things that, like my students in my classes, I have to get them to think about, okay, we've already done some of this stuff, and I'm not saying that again. So there's a lot of things here in Judges, and we're going to kind of move it through. Sometimes be pretty quick, and sometimes we're going to park. I guess I get to choose the parking spots because I'm the teacher. But if you've got something to add or contribute or discuss or just question, please bring that up and let's get that one out too. Glad you're here today, and I hope you're remembering some things. I hope you're doing some reading to help you kind of keep up and maybe get some new perspectives on it also. So, we talked about the judges. So what do you know about the judges? There we go. Here are some things we talked about on the judges, some basic information. We talked about the number of books, where the books are. We talked about the number of the judges, the period of time it covers, and it's still sticking in my mind. Hey, they lasted about 300 years. pretty close to kind of what's going on around here, you know, and maybe some of how things are going around here too. We'll be talking about some of that. So we talked about some of that basic information. I've given you the handout. If you need one, I'm going to make some more copies of that and have that next time here, but just for your notes and things. But there's a lot of things about these judges, interesting, unusual, some things that are just downright, okay, that's just not right, you know, and there's some of that stuff too. There's some good stuff in there too. I want to talk about that. We did talk about these judges. Actually, these aren't all the judges. And some of these on this list aren't judges. And so we have to kind of be careful, what are we talking about when we're talking about judges and who we're talking about. And it's not maybe what you've always heard and those kinds of things with that too. So we asked that question, what is a judge? What is a judge? Got a lot of words here we get in our minds when the word judge comes up and what he does and those things. So anybody got an idea? What do you like to share? What's a judge about? Yeah.
Why do you say that they weren't leaders? Or are you saying that they weren't mentioned as leaders?
They weren't mentioned as leaders. These are the words that we think of with judge, but the words that are in the book of Judges, those first three aren't in the book of Judges. Okay, they did lead the people, didn't lead all the people. They led some of the people, and sometimes there was a fight because of who they chose. And so, leader is kind of it's a loose-fitting word that we might attribute to the judges, but that wasn't what they were called or what their particular description was. You get down to the bottom of the list, and they were called a judge, but that kind of takes us back to the first. And that is, what's a judge? You know, we think of judges as someone sitting on the podium up there with a gavel up there saying, okay, court dismissed, or all right, guilty, and those kinds of things too. But that's really not what they were either. So just the word judge in itself is not quite enough. So I gave you a little bit of a lengthy definition. Somebody write that one down or remember what it was? Okay, let me do my teacher thing here and get your pen and paper out now and let's write this down and be on the test. Because I want to say this just about every week. I think she's got something.
Not a defender, protector, or leader, ruler, servant, deliverer.
Well, that's right. And that's what that list is right there. Good notes. She's taking notes. That's no, that's good. She's got it written down, which I really appreciate. I like that too. That means listening and participation is going on. But here we go. Are you ready to write? God working in flawed humans who failed often. Because we want to put this judge name up here at the top of the list, you know, right below king. And I'm thinking, no, that's not what these people were. We got to get the real idea. These are flawed humans. And they failed often, even when chosen, even in the middle of the task. There's a lot of things going on here in the book of Judges that are unusual for us to put this in the Bible and say, okay, here's God's words and do this. So we're going to have to be understanding of what these people are. They are just people that God used. Lots of flaws. You wouldn't pick them. I wouldn't pick them. We wouldn't pick those people for our baseball team or for, our church maybe. We'd say, no, you might try someplace else. But God chose them. God chose these people, and He used and worked in these people, even though they continued making grave mistakes at times. Okay? So that's kind of my definition of where we're going with judges.
He used them or raised them up during times of oppression by the people around them. They led the army or the militia, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually judge anybody or that kind of thing.
Well, there was a little of that going on, and we'll see that too. Under a tree and on a hill were a couple of places that come to mind. And, people did come to them for some decisions along those lines, but that's even kind of a little unusual too. But they were leaders. They were the defenders, those that were, set to deliver. All these words that aren't in there, they did that stuff. But what they were is what we're going to be looking at through all of this stuff. God working in flawed humans who failed often. And They weren't in one place. They weren't in order. There wasn't an order. Okay, this one, this one, this one. They overlapped. They overlap. Some are at the same time. They're in different places in the land and fighting different people, different countries, different oppressors, and different things, different times, not all the same. We want to read this book sometimes like it's, okay, this one, and then this one, and then this one, right after each other. But it's not the whole land. Yeah, it's not everybody under just one judge. It's one area that had a problem with somebody, and they took care of that one, and then down here we got somebody else and some other problem with this people. And so there are different areas for different judges. And as a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting as I looked at this, all the 12 tribes get one. Nearly all the 12 tribes get a judge. Okay? So it's spread out. Everybody gets a turn, kind of like in your area. Where your area is, here's the person that took care of some problem that they had in their history. And then we looked at a few of these themes, okay? I'm taking a few minutes to go back and look at some of the things from last week because a lot of folks weren't quite finished with vacation yet and back, so I want to get everybody on the same page. We got this, the themes for us here. There are several things that just pop up a lot. And that is the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Steve got that one, nailed that one on the head. People of Israel did what was evil. Now, that's an unusual statement because the people of Israel are supposed to be the ones who do the good. Okay? But we got the stories here of when they're not doing the good things. Things aren't going really well. And because of that, all kinds of oppression comes about. And I do have the right scriptures this time if you missed them last week. On the sheet I handed out, I believe it doesn't have these, so the new ones will. Here are the right scriptures for they cried out to the Lord. So when things don't go good, what do? We cry out, I need some help. I don't like this. This is not fun. I need somebody to get us out of this bad situation. So crying out to the Lord is what goes out here, but it usually doesn't happen until after something really difficult's got their attention. And then last of all, the Spirit of the Lord. This is not great hero people who just have this superpower and said, okay, I'll take care of it and just follow me. It's God. It's the Spirit of the Lord who raises them up, who moves them in the direction He wants them to go, and who is involved in the deliverance. God's the one that's doing this stuff. We don't recognize that sometimes. We don't look at that and say, oh, that's God working there. We just think, that's a great, strong, that's a great, wonderful person there. But there's something else going on here with these people. All right, so we've got this cycle. Here's the cycle that's going to be going. It sounds like we're going to be a broken record. Wait a minute, didn't we already say that once, twice, 3 times, 6 times? Okay, they cried to the Lord. People did what was evil inside the Lord. It's going to start and it's going to go up. Great times, deliver, and then they're going to say, oh, never mind, we sinned and we forgot, and we're going to do it again, and we'll do it again. And there's always somebody that rises to the occasion, that God rises to the occasion to get us past that and bring us back to where we should be. Story of my life. Yours?
It just shows how God gets His things done to people. We know in the world He may use foreign people to punish Israel or punish other people. This is, God is very involved in what's going on in the world.
He is. Sometimes He uses His people to take care of His people too. We'll see some of that. And so this process is not just a historical, long time ago, oh, that's a great book and it never happens anymore type stuff. No. This is still going on. This is going on right now in our country. I was at a concert last night, and the guy was kind of funny, and he said, okay, we had this song written about McGovern and Nixon, all the conflict that they had. He said, we don't have that anymore, do we? Well, yeah, it's still kind of going on about the same type of way, And so biblically, the same thing's true. These stories are not just something that happened in the past. It's the story of humanity. It's the story of us. And maybe there's something we can do. Maybe there's something we need to recognize. And there's definitely something we need to realize that God is doing in all of these things. Okay? All right. So that's last week. Anybody got a question or a comment you'd like to make about some of that? No? Yes.
I know last week you said, like, Jesus
Well, that's a great question because we're in the technology age and something happens in New York and it's on your phone in about 2 minutes, you know. But in those days, we didn't have that stuff. You had to run or walk from wherever things happened and tell somebody else. And then they had to walk and run and tell somebody else. So probably not. And if they knew about it, it was like the Pony Express. This is who won the election. They didn't know who won the election for months sometimes, until we got the telegraph could send a message. So no, that's why it was regional here. It wasn't just one standing up and everybody benefiting, because the time frame didn't work. It was the localized things. And they might have heard about it. The early ones, you know, were heard about by the older ones, but at the time, no. Now they did send out runners, messengers, and call different areas, say, y'all come help. We need some help in this. And some of them didn't get the call. Some of them missed the call and got angry about it. So we'll see some of those too. Good question.
Were they all made judges at the same time?
No, they weren't. They were overlapping sometimes. You know, they were in different places, kind of doing their different things. Some of these judges are overlapped. One started, the other one finished in a different area. So they might even not even been aware of each other at the time. Someone's writing this stuff down and giving us these things, and it seems like from the writing that, oh, this one and then this one and this one and this one, but that's not the way it happened. Oh yeah, there's several gaps in there where we have years without judges, and some of the words here we're going to have to be careful too, because there was peace for 40 years doesn't mean that judge was judged for all 40 years or even maybe alive for those 40 years. There was just peace for 40 years before things went a mess again. So yes, there were gaps, plenty of gaps there too. Anything? All right, well, thank you. Thank you for the questions and participation and helping us to clarify. So, get back over here. So here we are. Started last week, Judges 1, verse 1. Who gets to go first? Who do we need to get out there? And Judah was chosen. Again, chosen, and this is the Judah that's chosen, and the king comes from there and all of those things. So we want Judah to go first. He's chosen first. He's the one chosen to lead, to take a stand, to set an example, to get things started, to show us how to get this done, and maybe just to be get our best foot forward. Okay? So we need somebody to start. After the Joshua died, and we need another leader. We need somebody. We hadn't finished this task yet, and we need to get going on it. So who does it first? And Judah's the one that's chosen, and so they step up to the plate to do their part. And Judah does that unusual thing. Okay, how about you go with me, and then I'll go with you. You help me, I'll help you, let's do this together. And I don't know if they read Proverbs at the time. I don't think it was written. But the Proverbs is still true, and that is two are always better than one. Me fighting by myself, I need somebody to watch my back. I don't fight that battle very good. So we've got Judah says, Simeon, okay. And actually, if you look at the territories, Simeon is kind of in the middle of Judah, which is all around it. So Judah's saying, hey, we're kind of in this together here, close by and part of each other. If I go fight and you fight with me, and you go fight and I'll fight with you, we'll help each other out and get this job done. First task was the Canaanites and the Perizzites. No, not the parasites, the Perizzites. You know, we want to get that one right. There's a Z in there. And as they take these on and defeat them, there's a king. Adonibezek is the king there that they capture. And they cut his thumbs and his toes off. Now, does that sound weird to anybody else? That's a little different. You ever heard of the toes and thumbs being cut off before? Well, apparently it happened quite a bit, because Adonibezek said, there's 70 kings that I did this to, and now then it's happening to me. But there's a phrase here I just need to kind of sit on for just a minute. As I have done, so God has done to me. If you underline, circle, whatever, highlight in your Bible, I think verse 7 is pretty important there. As I have done, God has repaid me. This is the truth through all ages. And by the way, God does the repaying. It's not as people have done, we do to them. We don't do the repaying. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, is the truth there. But we also need to realize that this is a biblical truth that we need to kind of take hold of. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. Whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. Now, some farmers around here understand that. You put it in the ground, you get something out of it every time. Whatever you put in the ground, something comes out. It may be weeds, it may be grain, it may be grass. I can't get that to come out of my ground. But, whatever you put in there, that's the one that's coming out of the ground. Life is the same way. Adonibezek, not even a believer, understands God's rule and says, this is what I did, and this is what's happening to me. As I have lived, well, it's going to come back and get me too. Jesus puts it in a little different light in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. You know that rule? What's that golden rule? Treat other people like you want to be treated. That doesn't say treat other people like they treated you. Okay, that's the God part there. He does the retribution and taking care of those things. But Jesus' words are, you treat them first how you want to be treated. That's the positive side of this. Do we teach that a lot anymore? I just haven't heard that a whole lot in the last many years. That used to be something we talked about and did all the time. It seems to me like we've got a lot of this, you treated me that way, so I get to treat you, and I don't want you to act that way, so, I'm going to make sure you don't. Instead of just treating people like we want to be treated, like they should be treated, regardless of how they treated us, regardless of how they've lived their lives, we just need to treat people that way. I don't know about you, but when we find truths that are in the Bible, all the way through the Bible, and even when they come through unbelievers, non-Jews, non-Christians, God's truth is God's truth wherever it is. I don't know who wants to claim it, but it's okay, because God's the one that gave it. And Adonibezek here is the one that says, God is the one that really paid me because that's how I chose to live my life. That doesn't mean he couldn't change, but that means the results of his living are the way he's going to get the rest of his life also. Well, let's get back into the Judges now. And let's see, we talked about Judah taking the Canaanites and the Perizzites down. There it goes. And defeated 10,000 at Bezek. So they get a big start. Yeah, you got 10,000 in your mind here? Because we got some large numbers coming. 10,000. How many is 10,000? It's a lot. It's a lot of people here. Texas Stadium holds about 90,000. So this is still quite a bit of people there. Ranger Stadium, how many does it hold? Some of y'all were there Saturday. It was a good game Saturday? 35,000. So it's a third of what you can put in the Ranger Stadium. There's a lot of people here, 10,000 people. So their first battle, their first group to take care of, and they take care of 10,000. Go on down to, they go to Hebron next. Oh, they go to Jerusalem next, sorry. They capture it and struck it with a sword and set the city on fire. They move down to Hebron, a little further south. And they strike 3 kings there, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai. And they capture their cities. They go down to Deber, and they catch that one. They move over, and Judah this time takes the back seat. Simeon takes the lead, and they strike Zephath and utterly destroy it. They go to Gaza, and they take its territory, and Ashkelon, and the territory of Ekron. They're just moving through the country and just taking over everything. See them coming, and people are shuddering in their shoes here. They're shaking because the Judah and Simeon are on a mission. They're taking charge, and they're doing their thing, and they're taking the land as God had commanded them to do. All right, so with that in mind, why is such success happening, do you think?
They're still doing all of what happened in Joshua. It's just an extension of continuing to take the land. They were never commanded to take it all at once.
Yeah.
Joshua lived like 50 years, so when they commanded it.
Finishing what they started. Very true.
They're intended to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
For a very good reason.
What else? All right. They were stepping up to the plate. They listened. Very good. So were they the biggest tribe? No. Biggest landmass, maybe. Were they the strongest group of people? Actually, probably not. Were they the smartest one of the group? No, probably not. How about they had the most equipment and could get out there and do the best job? I have a geometry class that I've been teaching for, I don't know, probably about almost 22 years now, and working on 22, and the last about 15 or so, I have changed my philosophy, and that is, I want the kids to be successful in my class, is what I tell them. And so in my class, you can get an 80 on everything that you do. You can get an 80, not a 70. You can get an 80. You can correct anything we do in this class to get an 80, as long as it's turned in on time. So if you fail a test, then you come correct your test, you retake the test, and you can get an 80. I tell them if you get 100 on the retake, I give you the 100 because you know the material. And on the quizzes, you take the vocabulary quiz and you didn't get all the words right there, then you write the incorrect words 3 times with the definitions on a piece of paper, give it to me, I'll give you an 80. And on the weekly activity, I have homework that I assign to them. It's online, and there's usually 4 to 7 questions. They have Monday to Friday to do it. Do it as many times as you want to. There's videos there to watch to kind of help you out with it. And at the end of the week, you can get 100. Okay, real busy and things were really bad this week, fine. I'll let you do it the second week and get an 80. So in my class, I tell them everybody can have an 80 in this class. So you tell me, why do I have zeros and failing grades if everybody can get an 80? Huh? They don't want to. Complacency. Just can't get it done on time. Oh, there's it is. They just won't do it. So here's Judah doing all of this great stuff. It's really not Judah. Let's go back. Go back to Judges chapter 1. First few verses there. And Simeon went with him, and Judah went up, and the Lord was with them. That's what's different here. That's the big part here. Hey, we got the big dog with us. Hey, we've got the reason for all of this with us. Hey, we've got this thing because the one in charge is the one showing us and telling us what to do here. As a matter of fact, if you go over to verse 19, and the Lord was with Judah, and they took possession. Marching through this land wasn't some great mighty army. As a matter of fact, they were kind of new. They were the newbies. They didn't have all the fancy equipment and all the training, but they were sure taking over. They were sure running people off. They were doing what the Lord said to do because the Lord was the one in charge. The Lord was there. So why in verse 19 does it say they could not drive out the inhabitants? Well, I mean, I know what it says there. What does it say? Oh, they had iron chariots. No, iron chariots. Huh? Yeah, but didn't those pharaohs have chariots chasing them around? Was that a problem for Moses and the Israelites when Pharaoh had a whole bunch of chariots? No. Was the sea between them and an army a big problem for them to overcome? Not if the Lord was there. How about those big tall walls of Joshua? Was that a problem where they couldn't get the job done? No, if the Lord's marching around that city with you and that shout comes from him as well as you, then those walls ain't got a chance. So what's the problem here that all of a sudden, after all of these successes, all of a sudden we look up and say, oh no, I can't do that. It's an excuse. For what? I mean, well, did he all of a sudden turn around and go away? Did he all of a sudden turn around and go away here? Well, it doesn't say any of that stuff. It just said all of a sudden they said they can't. And something's not happening there. I don't know if they got tired. I don't know if something there just said, hey, do this instead. They'd already sacrificed enough. They were distracted. Maybe we've done good enough. I mean, we did all that other stuff. Maybe we just skip this one. Maybe this one's not that big of a deal, okay? Maybe they start asking themselves these kinds of questions instead of realizing who was with them in the job and the task that was at hand. I've realized the last several years in my life that the works of Satan don't come from big people walking up to me and confronting me. You know, it's not from those evil things out of there. It's these little thoughts running around in my mind. These little doubts. Well, maybe that's not going to work out, or maybe that's just not what I ought to be doing, or maybe that's pushing it too far. We get these doubts in our minds, and next thing you know, we're down a rabbit hole all the way someplace else we should not be. And I really think that's the way Satan works most of the time. It's not people. It's not, big machines or other stuff that walk up and confront you. It's these little thoughts running around in our minds. And they see those iron chariots. And I can see a bunch of them saying, hadn't seen this stuff before. You sure? You sure maybe we just won't go around, skip this one and come back later? Or, let somebody else take care of these? Simeon, why don't you go first this time? Those kinds of things. We get these ideas running in our minds. And next thing you know, we can't. We can't. Or maybe we just don't want to. We say, oh, okay, that's enough where it is. Well, the problem with that is now then it becomes a possibility. Now then it becomes to set a possible pattern. Oh, yeah, you pointed her?
Interesting, in 21 it says that the sons of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites. And then the Jebusites started living with them. And isn't that the very thing God warned everybody about? You go in there and wipe them out.
That's exactly it. Thanks for taking my next point. And that is, she's reading my notes, that is that once one person, once the leader all of a sudden says, okay, I'm not sure about this, or maybe not, it's just the first doubt in there. Next thing you know, everybody else wants to think on the doubt side of things. So Benjamin doesn't take care of the Jebusites, leaves them there, says, oh, they're not that too bad. You'll just leave them alone for a little while. And then skip on down. We're going to go down there to verse 27. Manasseh says, okay, fine, we won't do all this stuff. That's too much to take care of. And we're going to leave them around in their villages. We're not going to make a big mess out of this stuff. And they didn't drive them out completely. Maybe a half-hearted job. And then in verse 29, Ephraim did not drive out the Canaanites that were living in Gezer, and they lived among them. Verse 30, Zebulun did not drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, and the inhabitants of Nahal. Asher, verse 31, did not drive out the inhabitants. Are you getting the idea? I mean, Judah, what a start. I mean, Simeon, we're doing this whole thing, and they run up one little thing. I don't know if it's a little, but they run up one thing and say, well, okay, we're gonna kind of stop right there. That's not the big deal. Next thing you know, everybody's following. Which pattern are they following? They're following that one. Naphtali, they joined the party. They didn't. Are you notice all these different ones? Joining, everybody falls in line right behind Judah, because that's what they did. And then we end up with this one in verse 34. The Amorites forced the sons of Dan. Wait a minute, who's doing the forcing here? I mean, who's the one in charge? They forced the sons of Dan into the hill country, for they did not allow them to come down the valley. No, you stay up there. You can't come down here. We're in charge of this. So Dan just gives up altogether. They didn't even try. How quickly can things go south? You got some thoughts running around there? How quickly can things really turn around and go in the wrong direction? Good, did it all, God's with us, and next thing you know, boom, it's gone. I've seen churches, doing really great things. So everything's going fine, and now the preacher's gone. Okay, it's disaster now. Wait a minute. Where'd the Lord go in all this stuff? Where'd the Lord go? Isn't He the one creating and helping and causing all this good stuff to be going on? He didn't go anywhere. We just let those crazy thoughts in our mind. So, yes, there were some successes. Not going to ignore that idea. There were some successes. They gave Hebron to Caleb and his descendants, as Moses had promised. So they got in there and they took care of 3 giants. The sons of Anak were extremely large and strong people, and they went in there and took them out. Likewise, house of Joseph. I don't know if that's Manasseh or Ephraim or both of them together, but they went up against Bethel, struck the city with the edge of the sword, and but they let a man live from that city who kind of helped them out. Guess what that man did? He went over to the Midianite land and built the same city back again. Okay, we just let one go, but he goes and builds the whole city in the Midianites, and we'll see about the Midianites later. They become pretty problem. Manasseh became strong, and they made the Canaanites forced labor. Okay, we'll make them work for us. Zebulun, they became forced labor to Zebulun. Naphtali, they made them become forced labor. And then Dan, finally, when they get a little stronger, with Joseph's help, they helped those people to become stronger and take the others to become forced labor. So, it's not like it's a total loss here. We still got in there. We're still kind of working through there. We're just kind of letting some people hang out, and we're not getting rid of everybody along those lines. So, what do you think here? Is it just too much of a job? Is it just too hard, iron chariots and all that stuff? Was some of it good enough? What comments you got about what's going on here?
I think part of the problem was they quit working together. Not only did they forget God and say, we can't go so far and stop, but like pieces, they quit helping each other.
Started trying to do their own thing. And then nobody was doing anything.
This kind of process is going on today in that part of the world. The Israelites have forced the Palestinians to be labor, but now they're fighting again and all that kind of stuff. It's a recurring habit if you don't take care of it, nip it in the bud, so to speak, or whatever.
Very good.
The biggest thing of all of it is stated later. Another generation arose who did not know the Lord. They did not teach their children. They didn't teach them about what Joshua did, about how the Lord went before them, terrorizing the enemy, and they could overcome anything. They did not teach their children.
Yeah.
And in today's world, same thing.
Yeah.
So evolution and all kinds of evil has taken over because our generations of adults don't teach the children the ways of the Lord. And when you don't follow the Lord anymore, you're done.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
We're going to get to that one. That's next week's whole thing. But you're right. This is a process. This is a process. Teaching, I've seen it. I've been in schools that everybody's all this together and it's moving. And then I've been at schools that it's not together. And some are moving, and some are not, and some of it's bad, and a little of it's good, and it's just kind of crazy. This is the process that we get involved in one way, or another there. So, what was supposed to happen? What was supposed to happen here?
Follow the Lord and let him be strong and courageous that you can lose.
Well, there's the word we're missing in some of these things here, and all these other things. All these other things. Just as soon as they saw the iron chariots, somewhere the Lord stopped being mentioned at all. You know, okay? So some did it, maybe a little bit of it sometimes. Some of them did okay at it, but nobody did it all. And so we've kind of, in that process of things, moved in the wrong direction. So let's see what the Lord has to say about it. Last few minutes of class here. Let's go to chapter 2. Chapter 2. And I'm not going to speak for the Lord here. I'm just going to read what the Lord has to say. I've highlighted some things up here for you. Now the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochum, and he said, I brought you out of the land of Egypt and led you into the land which I have sworn to your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. Now that's some pretty strong language, and I think we ought to read it that way. Is he happy? I don't think he's very happy right now. I think he's kind of like the dad, looking down there. Wait a minute. I bought you that car. I'm paying the insurance on that car. I'm the one that's fixing the tires on that car. And you're doing what? Verse 2. And as for you, you shall make no covenant with the inhabitants of this land. You shall tear down all their altars, but you have not obeyed me. Now circle this phrase. What is this that you've done? My modern version is, what in the world's going on? What are you doing? I did all of this. I promised. I gave. I'm with. And you do this. So from that verse there, what's supposed to happen? There's supposed to be no covenants. Oh, this guy helped us out. Let's let him go so he can build another city over there that's going to fight against us later. No. Tear it down. Tear the cities down. Tear the walls down. Tear the temples down. Tear everything that is of them, nature and their gods. Tear it down. Not allowed. And then drive out and destroy. This is not their place anymore. They had their chance, and their sin was full. As we can look at other places, their sin was full, and the Israelites were there to judge them because of their sin. This is God using his people to punish the people that had already rejected him and his ways. They had their chance. Now they had to leave. This is somebody else's place now. So, what's going on here? Well, it's kind of a complicated story here. Okay? What the Israelites are doing, is supposed to be doing, and what's happening, and those kind of situations around that. Verse 3. Therefore I also said, I will not drive them out before you, but they will become as thorns in your side, and their gods will be a snare to you. Oh, well, the plan just changed. The plan just changed. And this is kind of an important part to see what's going to be happening in this up and down roller coaster ride, is God changed his mind. Because of the hardness of their hearts, because of their unwillingness to truly trust him in all the situations. And it's not just one mistake of Judah that we want to go back to and say, okay, it's all their fault. No, everybody bought in. Everybody in there participated in the same way. We just get the story from one perspective, and that's where Judah started it. But everybody said, okay, fine. And we chose that way to live, and when we choose that way to live, God changes his mind. Is that a scary thought? I mean, we've got all these promises, all these great things, all this kind of love, forgiveness, and grace, but then we choose the way we want to live and still expect God to treat us that way? Whoa, careful, God changed his mind here. He says, no, you get to live in it now. You get to live with those people there. You get to live with those gods, and you're going to have to make a better choice because of that. So what are you feeling right now? What's going on in your mind as we kind of wrap up this particular part?
What would Jesus say to us?
Well, that's a really good question right there. Oh. What's convenient versus what's expedient? Yep. So, Revelation 3, verses 14, 15, and 16. I think he hit it, and that is lukewarm, okay? I mean, cold, okay? Or is it supposed to be hot? He said, I'll spew you out of my mouth. I mean, that's to us. We can talk about Judges, but it's still true today. Okay? All right. Chapter 2 and 3, and we're going to start hitting some of these Judges and kind of see where they are in this whole process of stuff next week.